All right, today we're jumping into a philosophy that isn't really a gentle guide. It's more like a wake-up call. We are exploring the powerful and, let's be honest, often controversial ideas from the huge bestseller, The Courage to be Disliked. And you know what? They're not wrong. This is not some feel-good book that's going to pat you on the back. Nope. It's here to challenge. Really challenge some of the things you probably believe about your life, your past, and what it even means to be happy. It's meant to be freeing, for sure, but it might just tick you off first. So the book was written by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga, and it's set up in a pretty cool way. It's basically a long conversation, kind of like one of Plato's dialogues. You've got this cynical young guy who pretty much represents all of our own doubts, going head-to-head with a wise philosopher who's all about the psychology of a guy named Alfred Adler. And the main idea, the big premise, is this. Your unhappiness isn't because of your circumstances. It's something you are actively choosing. I know, that's a tough pill to swallow, so let's break down what they actually mean by that. Okay, so first things first. The book immediately takes aim at one of the biggest ideas in our culture, this myth that we are basically prisoners of our own past. Okay, let's just pause here. Trauma does not exist. That's the line. And I get it, that's the point where most people are like, nope, I'm out, and might even want to throw the book across the room. But hang on. The philosopher isn't saying that bad things don't happen. Of course they do. What he's really attacking is this idea of determinism, the belief that those past events force you, that they chain you to be a certain way today. The book's whole point is to offer a totally different way of thinking. So it sets up this huge contrast. On one side, you have etiology, which is all about causes. This is classic Freudian thinking, right? I am anxious because my parents were strict. But on the other side, you've got Adler's teleology, which is all about your goals. And it just flips the whole script.
Teleology says you aren't anxious because of your past. No. It says you choose to be anxious right now to achieve a certain goal. Like, for example, the goal of not having to go outside and risk being rejected by people. See the difference? You're actually using your past as the perfect excuse for the choices you're making in this very moment.
This changes everything. The common way of thinking makes you a victim. You have no power. But the Adlerian truth says, wait a second, you actually have a secret goal. To not get hurt in a relationship, and you're just using your parents' divorce as the perfect story to justify it. And here's the powerful part. If you're the one choosing that goal, that means you are completely free to choose a new one, literally anytime you want. Okay, next up, the book does something pretty radical. It takes all of our pain, all of our suffering, and boils it down to one single universal source. And there's the next bombshell. The philosopher argues that if you were the only person in the entire universe, you would have zero problems. Think about it. You wouldn't feel inferior, you wouldn't worry about what you looked like, you wouldn't feel anxious, because there would be nobody else to compare yourself to. So all our suffering, according to this philosophy, comes from viewing life as one big competition. We're constantly measuring ourselves against other people, which creates these feelings of inferiority. And then we spend all our energy seeking recognition from them to prove that we're worthy. We get stuck on this vertical ladder, always trying to be above someone else. The solution then is a really profound shift in how we see things. We have to stop seeing other people as rivals we need to beat. Instead, we need to start seeing them as comrades, fellow travelers on a flat, horizontal plane. Someone else's success isn't your failure. You are simply walking your own path at your own speed. Now, this brings us to what is probably the most practical, most useful tool in the entire book, especially if you're someone who tries to please everybody. It's called the separation of tasks. You see, so much of our stress comes from one of two things. Either we're meddling in other people's business, or we're letting them meddle in ours. This is a super simple way to draw a very clear line in the sand. So how do you do it? How do you separate these tasks? It's easy. You just ask one question. Who is ultimately going to have to deal with the consequences of this decision? Whoever that person is, that's who owns the task, and your job is to stay out of it.
The process is really straightforward. So say your kid doesn't do their homework. Who faces the consequence? The bad grade? They do. So studying is their task. Or a friend is in a really toxic relationship. Well, the consequence of staying or leaving, that's theirs to bear. It's their task. Your job is to offer support, not to take control or try to fix it for them.
Let's make this super real with a classic example. Okay, imagine you want to totally change your career path. You're excited, but you just know your parents are going to hate the idea. Well, choosing your career, That's your task. How your parents react to it, their disapproval, their disappointment, whatever it is, that's their task. That's for them to deal with. It is not your problem to solve or your burden to carry. And that right there is the secret to setting healthy boundaries. So all these ideas we've talked about, teleology, seeing people as comrades, separating tasks, they're all building towards one final massive conclusion about what it really means to have personal freedom. So what is it? What does it actually mean to be free? It's not about having more money or more power. The book's answer is, well, a lot more challenging than that. And there it is, the knockout punch, the core message of the entire book. True freedom isn't about getting everyone to like and approve of you. It's about having the courage to accept that some people just won't. Just think about it for a second. If your main goal in life is for everyone to like you can't actually live your own life. You basically become a slave to what everyone else wants, constantly changing who you are to meet their expectations. The moment someone dislikes you because of a choice you made, a choice that was true to you, that's not a failure. That is proof that you are living freely, by your own rules. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Is there a decision that you're putting off, something you're afraid to do for one simple reason? You don't want to disappoint someone else? And if there is, whose task is it, really, to manage that disappointment? The answer to that question might just be your first real step toward freedom.